it's moving slow.
And you know, us sports moms have something to say.
Yes, we do.
We'll have a chance to interview across the board, from athletes to the parents to the coaches to even the trainers.
And we're not afraid to share our journey. We're not afraid to tell other moms what we went through in order to raise up a student athlete. So I believe that it's inspirational.
We able to tell our story, the good and the bad.
We can give back positive information.
Absolutely.
You know, we can empower them.
Yes, I think it's time for the mothers to be a voice.
Yes, that's it.
It's time for us to let you know what's going on. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your girl Shannon at Can We Talk Sports. I am here with my host,
Hey.
Karen, what's up, everybody?
And I'm Carmen. Welcome to Can We Talk Sports?
All right, ladies. So, what you guys had going on this week?
I relaxed. Hey.
I do too. There's no relaxing for me. My kids keep me running. Even they're grown and out of the house. My middle daughter bought a house 2 weeks ago on Friday. So
Well,
we have been
congratulations.
painting. Yeah, 29, buying her first house all by herself. But we have been painting, moving, shopping, just busy.
Okay, Karen, and how was your weekend?
It was good. I'm trying to finish sharing this to the groups. Hey, y'all share this video. It's going to be a great show. I'm refreshed after 3 days of just like chilling, doing nothing in Denver, Colorado. Just was shut up in the house as if I was here. I could have saved that money, but just got away with some time with my husband. He went to play golf and just chilled. I feel refreshed and I feel excited. I feel ready to take on the world.
So,
Okay, you go take on the
Karen,
world by yourself.
take on the world. Karen, how's traveling with COVID? Like, I've seen you traveling quite a bit. So, how's it affected you?
It was cool. You wear your mask, and so on the plane you had your mask on, and so it was everybody on the plane had the mask. Southwest has it where nobody sits in the middle unless it's a relative, so there's a seat in between you. The airport is not as crowded as normal.
Yeah.
Going through security, everybody has on masks, so it was good. And the people in Denver, most of them had on masks too, so it was cool.
Wow, everywhere you go, you got to wear a mask, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, look at Kawasaka showing off for Colorado.
Colorado.
We see you, Colorado, over there.
Right on time.
Okay, so how's your son doing, Kawasaka?
He's doing great. Still working out. Of course, they won't start football until the spring. Hopefully. So they make, was it Pac-12 and Pac-10. So, but he's doing great.
Now he's a senior this year?
Remember, he graduated early at 3 years.
That's right.
Absolutely. Yes.
That's a Soto, baby. Them Soto athletes, they graduate early.
So this is he's in his a senior, but as a player.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. So listen, we have a great show today. We have, okay, so I've used for my phone because look, I usually use it from my desktop computer, but it wanted to act crazy today. So if I'm delayed, please excuse that. I'm on my laptop, bless the Lord. All right, so we have Mr. Johnson coming to the show pretty soon. So we will actually, are we going to be back right after this? Because, you know, I got to ask. I got to ask because, you know, our producer in the back, he, you know, is he ready?
Wait, Shannon, guess what? Guess who's back tonight? Big Mama is
That's
back.
right. Big Mama is back. Oh, wait, listen. Now, I know Big Mama watching. I can't wait because I'm telling you, there's a whole bunch we got to talk about tonight. So when Big Mama come on, I got a question for her. Oh my, and I can't wait to hear what she got to say about it. So listen, we will be right back after this with Mr. Johnson.
You know?
Yep, and that is very important. And so, like, if that athlete understands that principle coming in the door, and he uses his faith, integrity, and trust to the highest level that he could possibly do it at, he's going to have a lot of positive results. And that faith is important because sometimes you may get injured. You know, you may get injured and you might not be able to play at the highest level, but that still shouldn't take away from the principles and the foundation that you've built your entire game off of, because eventually you're going to heal and you can get back to it if you do things the right way. And that's why it's so important that your faith is in touch and in alignment with your purpose, because the obstacles are going to be placed in front of you. There's some things that athletes have to overcome when they become professional athletes, and they have to be the master of their own time and space, and make sure that they don't allow any vices to connect to them, or allow themselves to be pulled away from the gift that actually gave them the opportunity.
Hello,
Wow.
Mr. Johnson. How are you?
Hello.
Hello, everyone. Good evening.
Welcome.
Welcome to the show. Man, there was a lot there. I'm actually reading your bio, and I'm just like, wow, there's so many things we're gonna hit on tonight, so many questions and everything.
Yeah.
But before we do, we like to play a game called Would You Rather. So we're gonna put you on the spot. You ready?
Okay.
All right. Would you rather, I always ask this question because I kind of like to see what people say. So would you rather drive a 1967 SS Chevy or a 2020 Chevy Camaro?
Give me the 1967 Chevy.
There it is, right there. There it is. Old school all day long. All right, Karen, what's yours?
I always ask this question. Would you rather be the president or a Pokemon trainer? Right now.
President.
You know what? I ain't gonna lie. I probably would have picked the Pokemon trainer with all this mess going on in this world. I'd have been like, y'all can have that presidency because these folks like crazy.
If I was the president, so I mean, it would be different if I was the president.
That's what they all say.
Right, that's what they say, Obama.
Right. All right. Would you rather be a superhero or a villain? And if a superhero, which one? Or if a villain, which one?
Well, I'm already a superhero. I'm a dad, I'm a girl dad.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm already a superhero, so I'm gonna pick superhero. I gotta stay in character.
Okay, which one would you be? Superman, Batman, Thor.
It's funny you say that. For Father's Day, my daughter, she always knows how to touch those soft spots. She makes me like a handwritten card each year for Father's Day. And this year she made me a Father's Day with an S on the chest. Man, I'm talking about I was like soft butter on the stove, man. Yeah, she made that picture. So I would probably be Superman. but the
Wow,
black
he
version.
said soft butter on a stove.
Oh, just
Okay.
milk.
Just melting away, right?
Yep.
Okay, okay. All right, so let's get into the show. Can you tell us a little bit? I mean, I've been reading your bio and it's pretty interesting. And I mean, there's so many different ways we can go. But I think the thing that stood out to me is your elite athletes for Christ Foundation. So let's back up a little bit because I want to get into that. Can you tell me a little bit about who is Mr. Johnson?
Yeah, so here's the thing. I always knew I wanted to be around sports, being a former athlete. But when you tell God your plans, he smiles and then he directs a path that's totally different than the one that you mapped out. When I finished college, I was all set to be a school teacher, and I became a school teacher. I majored in mathematics in college at Morgan State University, HBCU, alumni, and got a job in the Baltimore City public school system. Became a math teacher in a high school. But the first high school I worked at was a nationally ranked high school in basketball. It was actually number 6 in the country. I didn't know that when I took the job because I had took the job to teach math. And the thing was, there were some athletes in this program who had scholarship offers from all over the country, but they couldn't pass the SAT. So their scholarships were on hold. And I started tutoring them in the SAT and they passed. And a light bulb went off. I'm like, I started talking to these young men. Being a former athlete, I could speak their language. I understood what they were dealing with, the things that they would be faced with. And it was a connection. And the thing was, I was connected to 2 of the top players on the team who ironically were 2 of the top players in the country at the time. And so when I helped them pass the SAT, we had a bond that became unbreakable. And then I started giving them advice, and they told their parents about me, and their parents became interested in the things that I was telling their sons because I wasn't asking for anything, but I was helping their sons and helping them make critical decisions so that they could be prepared for their next step, which would be college. And then I had a dream. I had a dream that I was a sports agent. I didn't know anything about being a sports agent. Like I said, I always knew I wanted to work in sports, but at the same time, I was a math teacher. And so I had a dream about being a sports agent. I actually was representing one of the young men, and I told him. And when I met his mom was like, please don't leave my son. You've helped my son so much. So in 2004, I petitioned the NFL and I petitioned the NBA. So you had to take a test for the NFL. And I got my license with the NFL, but then when I petitioned the NBA, because I had my license in the NFL, the NBA gave me my license in 2004. And it was a really exciting time. Like I said, you tell God your plans, and then he changes the whole path for you. And so the NFL thing always had a lot of friction with it, and it was really, really hard to get my foot on the ground in the NFL. But the basketball just seemed to come easy. And then what I mean by easy is like the steps, when they say the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, I truly, truly believe that. Because my steps were ordered. Like I said, I didn't even have to take a test to get the license to become an NBA agent. And I've been an NBA agent since 2004.
Wow.
Wow. Okay, so
that is a testimony. Yes.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. I mean, there's so much in that right there because you have to go back. You were talking about your steps being ordered. And it's funny because me and my husband were just talking about that with the kids today about your steps being ordered. You think you're going to go one way and God's like, nah, I'm about to make you about to make a right. You're like, wait, hold on. I thought I was going left. Nah, you about to go right. So in this journey that you're on, so many lives have been touched and listening and talking. So as a NBA agent, how has that journey been? Because now that you're, as an agent and God has assigned you to the NBA, and there's a reason it had to be, there's a purpose. What do you feel your purpose is as an NBA agent?
I truly believe that faith, integrity, and trust needs to be at the center of every sports league. And I truly believe that is the purpose that God has put inside of me to actually help that platform to be realized. As you see now, the platform now is Black Lives Matter. But Black Lives have always mattered. It's just now that the NBA is really grabbing a hold of it. And I also believe that faith thing is really, really important, because your gift to play basketball or football or whatever sport it is, it came from God. And too often, it's almost like a taboo when you talk about that, but it shouldn't be, because the gift came from God. Like, who makes people 6 feet 8 inches tall and graceful on their toes with big hands and big feet, but not clumsy, can jump and can run and balance themselves and shoot a ball and dunk a basketball? That's nothing but the works of what God does for an athlete, and giving them those skills that have been inside of him when he was born to his parents. So I just feel like my purpose is to make sure that every athlete that I touch, that they understand the faith, the integrity, and the trust that has been placed inside of them is a God-given gift. And that gift is important if you want to reach the levels that you intend to reach as an athlete.
Oh, that's good. Karen, you got a question?
Yes, because everybody know. I mean, even me, when my son was getting ready to graduate, I was praying, God, please, God, let him get a scholarship. Well, everybody knows that it's only so many you can get, and so and even in the one, going to the NBA and the NFL, there's only so many. So how do you balance that faith walk as an athlete and believing in that this is what God wants you to do, but yet, it's only 1,000 people, I mean, whatever that number is? How do you encourage those athletes that's caught up in between that? Okay, I'm believing God to do this, but it may be a different road that He's taking you somewhere else.
That's a good question, and that's what I love about what I do. I can honestly say that the athletes that I've worked with, they are men who have transitioned into really good careers because they had that faith, integrity, and trust. You're going to be an athlete for a very short period of your life. But whoever you're supposed to be, that's who you're going to be when sports is over with. So you have to prepare yourself. And we talk about this a lot: mind, body, and spirit. And when you align those 3 things in order and you follow the plan and the purposes that are placed on your life, the success follows. So balance is really, really important. And nothing is impossible when you believe. So it's like, and the thing is, like, the name of the company is Elite Athletes for Christ. So I tell athletes all the time, if you don't want to be elite, maybe you shouldn't be an athlete, because it takes too much work. And like you said, many people are going to try, but not many people are going to make it. So you have to have your mind made up. And usually those young men or young ladies that play professional sports, they make their mind up like in the 6th or 7th grade that that's what they want to do. And they start separating themselves. And then along with that God-given talent, when you balance that talent and you balance your purpose, man, God can do some amazing things with your career.
Wow. Carmen, you got a question?
Yes. I'm really interested in the being licensed in 217 countries. Like, how do you go about doing that? And how do you go about getting athletes and into another country and making that connection with the different ball teams in the other countries?
Okay, all right, so that's good. So, and when you become an agent, like what Miss Karen said was very important. It's hard to get a job, but with basketball, the reason why I love basketball so much, because basketball is the one sport that's played all over the world. So when you want to be licensed, you have to commission the Federation of International Basketball Association, and you have to go through a background check. You have to be licensed in your home country, which is the United States for me. And then you actually fill out a long application where they can check you out and go to the leagues that you work with to see if you're qualified to get the license. And then they'll give you the license if you're qualified. So the one thing that I tell athletes a lot, and I say this a lot to my athletes, the day that you become a professional is the day you should be preparing for when you're not going to be a professional athlete. Because if you wait, when your career is over, it's going to be too late. So it's like those degrees that you need to get when you're in college, very, very important. You know, that those relationships that you foster with teachers and with advisors and with people that you meet while you're playing the sport, very important. Like you should be fostering positive relationships, and you should be completing things that can't be taken away from you, and whatever that may be, while you're playing the game. Because a lot of athletes that are really, really good, they usually get to the NBA when they're like 19, maybe 20 years of age. And so sometimes they didn't finish college. But I'm like, if you're good enough to make it to the NBA, then you should be good enough to finish your college degree. Because I'll stand on this. If I didn't have my college degrees, with COVID hitting, COVID pretty much shut the agent world down this year. But thank God that I'm an educator, because I worked in the Baltimore City school system. I never stopped working in the school system because I realized that I'm an agent because I was a teacher, not the other way around. And so I love giving back. And so one of the ways that keeps me grounded and keeps me focused on always what's important is that I give back, and I give back through education. I give back through tutoring programs. I give back by making sure that young people can see the light, by seeing someone that comes from neighborhoods where they come from and know that they can do all things also if they put Christ first, and if they also handle their business in the classroom, or basically off the plant surfaces.
So let's talk about COVID and the agencies. You mentioned how COVID shut down all agents. How is that right now? Because I know everything's open back up. I know the NBA is playing, but I know that it's not back to where it used to be. So from the time of COVID moving forward, how is being an agent? How is it going to be so different now?
Well, it's different right now because I currently represent two young men who are, I would say, they were on like the 9th step out of 10 steps to making it to the ultimate level. And when COVID hit, it basically knocked them down a lot of steps, because the NBA were only going with the guys that they've already had in the league. And we were just about to try to break them into the league, and then COVID hit. So now, opening back up, the aim and the focus is to get those two young men, get those guys an opportunity to play ball, whether it be in the NBA or playing in another country, so that they can continue to build their resume, so that they can get back to the opportunity that they felt like they were so close to getting before it shut everything down.
So what does that look like? You know what I'm saying? It's like, because even in the NFL with my son being a free agent, yet we're hearing there's a lot of teams that want to, bring him in for a workout, but we see the process is going so slow. So the question is, will he ever get that workout, or does he have to wait until next year to get that workout? And then, like you said, you have those ones that were already up on as prospects that were really, already up there. How is it they're not going to get left? I don't want to say left behind. What's the word? Mixed in with others that are trying to get to that level. Does that make sense?
It makes perfectly good sense, and that's why faith is so important, because you have to work like your opportunity is tomorrow. And I tell every athlete that I come across, work like you are about to get to try out tomorrow. Because God always balances out. He balances out. He sees your work even when other people aren't seeing your work. And I always say, when it happens is exactly when it's supposed to happen. Like when the teams call back, they'll call back when they're supposed to, because I reach out to the teams, but when they're interested, they'll call back. If they're not interested, they don't call back because everyone is reaching to them. So I would tell you with your son, if he has a workout routine, he should be doing that like he has the tryout tomorrow. And that'll keep him grounded. And then he needs to make sure he's focused on the things that are important. Like this off season, when COVID shut things down, I made sure that I was also petitioning the licenses in different states because when it opens up, I want to make sure that I can legally recruit in the different states so that when I go to states, if someone sees me or reports that I'm there, I'm legally there, like doing things the right way. And it's the work that you do when no one is watching that I really feel like, and not really feel like, I feel like God is definitely watching when no one else is. And that's why you have to approach your opportunities with that type of integrity. My young men that I was working with during COVID that played basketball, they were actually working out on their driveway. But that wasn't unusual because a lot of the NBA players are also working out in their living room and in their driveway. So you have to do what you're supposed to do, and then you allow the faith to come in and allow that part to handle the business that you need to be handled.
Yeah, that's what my son and them were doing. They were training in the garage, in the driveway, running. Then they go out to a field to find a way to run their route. So, Karen, you have a question? Or Kawasaka, you have a question? No. Karen, you have a question? You're mute.
I was trying to cut down on that static and stuff that was going on. I see on here that you were the first African American sports agent in the state of Maryland. Congratulations!
Yes,
Is that black people up there doing?
That was a prestigious honor. So in the city of Baltimore, we're known for athletes, but we weren't known for representation.
Wow.
And me being a former athlete, I knew a lot of the guys that I grew up with could play ball. They played basketball, they played football, played at the highest levels. But it was never someone who could give them the right information when it was time to connect the dots. And it just didn't sit right with me. So when I got the license and I went to the state of Maryland to get because you have to be licensed you have to be licensed by the league that you want to represent players. You have to also be licensed in the state where your business and your LLC is set up. So when I went to the state of Maryland for the license, they didn't have a business plan on file for agents because no one had ever did it. And I was like, no one ever did it. Like, that didn't make sense. I became the first African-American NBA agent in the city of Baltimore. And I was like, I made Black history. And it's like, it wasn't without any strain and stuff, because when you're the first, there's no blueprint. So mistakes because you just don't know. So and that's why I know it was all God driven, because when God calls you to do something, He's not calling you because everything is already lined up. He's calling you to create the path that other people are going to be able to follow. And it's a tremendous honor, but honestly, it's also a tremendous burden, because I also know that everywhere I go, Baltimore is a large city, but it's a very small city. And people know you, so you have to make sure that when you do work with an athlete, and when you specifically work with parents, and unfortunately, I wish more dads did what they were supposed to do, but when you deal with parents, most of the time, you're dealing with the moms.
That's right.
I would not want my mother to be disappointed if someone was trying to work with me when I was trying to play pro ball. So I thought about that every time I had an interaction with a mother. Like, I want to make sure my mom is proud when I work with this mom. And you have to tell the truth, because the truth is the part that makes it hard. You could lie, but that's not going to stand. When the test of time comes, I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what you need to hear. I'm going to tell you the best professional advice that I can give you. And then I'm going to back it up with the results, because that's the only way that it'll work. And so the mothers are gems. I love my mothers who have sons that play sports, because you don't have to worry about getting someone to push a kid because mom is gonna say, "Hey, did you get up? Did you work
Man,
out?
you better say that.
Did you do what you're supposed to do? How are you
Right.
gonna get where you need to be if
Right.
you're not doing your part?" And I love that about mothers. Like, and it's a beautiful thing. So, ladies, you guys have sons that play the game.
Yeah,
You're doing a fantastic job because they wouldn't be where they are right now
that's
if you
right.
didn't have that hand in their back. And trust
That's
me, boys
right.
want to make their mamas proud. You know, I think about that every time I do something. Is my mother gonna be okay with this? And if I can't say yes, then I can't do it.
All right, so listen, we're gonna come back right back after this because we're gonna touch on what you were talking about because we interviewed a young man a few days ago, was raised by a single mom and played basketball, went overseas. His story was so powerful and he turned out very, 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 very well spoken, you could just good, I mean, great character. You know, you had to meet him and listen to his story. And actually, he was raised by mom, grandmother, and great grandmother.
Great-grandma.
He had 3 of them. He lived with all 3 raising him. So you know he couldn't get away with nothing.
Can't get away with nothing.
He couldn't get away with nothing. You talking about grandma and great grandma? Man, please. He even blinked wrong. Somebody was popping him upside the head, probably. So, but anyway, we'll be right back after this because we're about to bring Big Mama to the show.
Baby, let me tell you. God, no. If I told him once, I done told him twice.
I don't know.
Hey,
Can you
Big
guys hear
Mama.
me? It says
Yeah,
that
I
I'm
can
still
hear you.
backstage.
Hey, Big Mama.
Hey, Big
Mama.
Mama.
Okay, it still says that I'm
Hey, Big Mama.
backstage.
Hey, we can hear you.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear us? Can she hear us?
Yeah, it still says that I'm backstage. Yeah, I can hear you guys, but it's hey, Kristen, nice to meet you.
Hello, Big Mama.
I'm
It's
doing
a
good. Nice to
pleasure.
meet you.
Thank you.
Jonathan, boy, I'm loving how you talking over there. I appreciate you and what you're doing for everybody. So I just want to say to everybody, okay, so I'm in the show. Who has a question for me?
Mama, Big Mama, Big Mama, Big
Somebody has
Mama.
a question for me?
Yes, I do. Did you see? Because listen, when I read the article, the football player from Seattle that got kicked out because he tried to sneak a girl in. Did you see that one?
Oh man.
I said, oh, I need Big Mama. I need Big Mama. So what he did is, quarantine, you're supposed to be down. He gonna sneak a girl in, but he gonna put on her like a shirt and a Seattle hat like she a player. Like the cameras is dumb. And the people that's watching, are you serious? So they cut him. Isn't that crazy? I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
In the words of my own Big Mama, baby P is a powerful thing.
Yeah.
I can hear you. You can't hear me? Let me do something. Hold on.
I knew you was gonna say something. I was waiting for you. I'm like, I need Big Mama. Oh my gosh, y'all. I knew you was gonna say something. I've been waiting for her. Did we lose her? I think we lost her. Okay.
Oh no, there she is. She just came back in.
Okay, so can you hear me now?
Yes, really good. Oh, I knew you was gonna say something.
Yes. Well, let me say in the words of my own Big Mama, baby P is a powerful thing. It'll take down a whole nation. So what's the Seattle uniform? So I don't know.
I know because I was like,
gotta have it. That's all I can say. But I was embarrassed for him and his mama while you done risked your whole career for just a tad bit, for a few minutes. Boy, sit down somewhere and get your life together. That was just total out of line. But hey, he definitely will learn from that mistake. So I just wanted to say to everybody, gonna give you a couple of minutes of some things that I have. Carmen, I don't know if you heard me earlier, but nice meeting you. So we'll talk soon. Yeah. Frank Johnson III. I'm loving the things that you have to say and how you're helping out everybody.
Well, thank you.
So I just want to say to all of you, to all of them out there, Can We Talk Sports? Thank you so much for your prayers. Thank you so much for your love and your support during the passing of my very own coach. I tell you, I tell everybody, it was the way he loved me. So Big Mama is fine. I have some good days. I have some difficult days, but overall, all is well. But I have some things coming up in the show. I'm gonna share some tidbits with y'all about Coach Reynolds. Give you some of his legendary stats and how he raced against Carl Lewis and how all of that went. So I have some interesting stories to share. But tonight, so my quick things with talking to you guys. I heard what Mr. Johnson said earlier about him. He felt like it was Black History. So I've been following some things and I'm like, well, I know this is August, but is it Black History Month? Because here we have Eric Moses. Eric Moses is now the first Black NASCAR track president. So he is the first Black man at the Nashville Super Speedway. So we are breaking slowly into the NASCAR scene, but here it is right there in Nashville. I guess it doesn't get better than that or deeper than the South than being in Nashville, Tennessee, for him to be the first Black man to be that track president. So I'm super proud of him. Another thing that happened, is it History Month? But Jason Wright, he's the first Black president for the Washington Redskins. Never, ever. He's the youngest. He's the first, and it is an awesome thing. I think the strides that we're making, they're slow, but they're sure. One thing about us as a people, we can be steady and we can be consistent. So I'm excited about that. But over to the NFL people that are working out. So my prayers go out to Kevin Johnson. Of course, he's the Cleveland Brown. You in practice and you get your liver lacerated. What y'all doing? Y'all practicing each other. We all need our check. Calm down, baby. This ain't the big game. Let's do this slow and easy. We know what we need to do, but you can't take out your own people. Then someone else had another incident. I'm like, y'all beating up on each other? Save that for the game. Because according to them Cowboys people, Jerry say there will be games, and he say his fans will be there. Well, y'all go ahead on out there with Jerry, and y'all sit 6 feet apart, or however he gonna put y'all out there in his very own bubble. But Jerry's like, I'm not losing no money. We're gonna get through this, and I'm gonna do it my way. And as always, Jerry does do it his way. But I know today, basketball, it can be my thing when I need it to be, because I'm going to always shoot for the Lake Show. The Lakers started out really funny, but, Big Mama riding with the purple and gold until the end. But Luka, look at you showing out today. So shout out to D-Town and what they did today. That's all that I have this week. But I'll be coming back, and I am so glad to be back with y'all. But Big Mama's words of wisdom is hard, but it's fair. So I'll see you guys next week.
All right, Big Mama. That was some good wisdom right there. So we love you. We love you. We praying for you. And,
yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love you guys. All right. Y'all have a good.
All right. You too. All right. So we're moving on.
powerful though, and I talk about this every time I can with athletes. You have to manage your vices. And if you don't have a manage on your vices are going to stop you from playing the game that you love. And unfortunately, these young men are very nice looking young men, take really good care of their bodies. They make a lot of money, but they're young and sometimes they're immature. So you have to grow up really quick when you play professional sports, because if not, you're going to meet a lot of ladies that are very persuasive. And if you're not focused, you can get out of focus. Once you get out of focus, you're going to lose it really quickly. So that was a really, really powerful point that Big Mama brought up. It's a powerful thing. And, you know, I have a story about that. I had an athlete who actually walked away from a contract after we spent 4 months getting him a contract to play in Portugal. He got to Portugal and told me I can't play anymore because I miss my girlfriend. I just couldn't understand it. Like, we worked so hard. He was on one of the best teams in the entire country. It was a stepping stone where his next step probably would have been the NBA if he had played in that league, and he walked away because he wanted to be with his girlfriend. So it's amazing. It's amazing what that can do to a young man that's not focused. There's some older men for that matter.
Listen here. Look at here. If I would have got a phone call that my son walked away for some, I'd have told him, don't you come back home. Disconnect my number. Because I was telling my son, I said, let me tell you something. If you would have got kicked off a team, he's a rookie. You finally got somewhere where everybody want to get, and you get kicked off the team because you're trying to sneak a girl in the hotel. Don't even come home. He said, Mom, I said, don't you come home. Don't call me. Disconnect. Matter of fact, I'm going to block your number. I'm going to block you on Facebook, Instagram. You ain't coming home. Are you serious?
I mean, he flew 12 hours to Portugal, which is on the west coast of Spain. Beautiful. Wow. Portugal is like Miami. Like, it's a beautiful place to play. Like, I'm like, all these women in the world, and you stop playing ball for a girl that would probably love you even more if you play ball the way I know you can play and come back. And I'm like, and then here's the thing, the girl broke up with him.
Oh, he really wouldn't be coming home. Because I know he called crying, Mama, no, click. You have a collect call from Click? No, we ain't got nothing to talk. Are you serious? Oh, the work?
Now, Mr. Frank.
Oh man, I tell you what, but you're right. They have to understand that they got a grip. They have to get a grip on these devices, and it's like I tell, when I tell my sons, they're women, and it's real. We have to be real. They're professionals. Nobody want to talk about it, right? Like, nobody want to touch the subject, but you have to be some of these women are groomed. Yes. Now, they may not like me. That's all right. Because by the time I finish praying and going to God about you, you really ain't going to like me. But listen, they are groomed for this. You know what I'm saying? And so we have to, and it's not only females. There's males that are groomed even against these women. Professional women. There's males that are groomed. And so you have to get in a place, like you said, you have to be in a place with God. If you're not in that place with God, you're gonna be to and fro. That's just real. You have to be in a place where you're constantly seeking. You're at a place of just an intimacy with God, because without him, because you have so much coming after you. Your night is, I look at it like this. You're 22 years old. You go from $200 in the bank to 20 million. A lot of them do, right? All of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, what is this? There's nothing you can't buy. There's nowhere you can't go. And so you're exposed. You have women who see that you're a dollar sign. You have friends who see you're a dollar sign. You have family members who see you're a dollar sign. And if you don't have a strong foundation, they will rip you apart. I mean, that's my take on it. Go ahead.
I normally charge $200 an hour because that's what the NBA tells us to charge. But the rule where if you want to take care of your money when you first get it, it's the 70-30 rule. You save 70%, you never touch it, and you live off the 30%. Like that will almost ensure every athlete who becomes a professional athlete can keep his money. And now athletes say that's a lot of money to save, but you got to understand the average career in the NBA or the NFL is under 4 years. So in 4 years, you might make more money than anybody in the world, but then after those 4 years, where are you going to be? And it's some of the horror stories, they're heartbreaking, especially when a young man has had access to millions of dollars and then he no longer has the money because he was frivolous. And like you said, there are professionals who seek these young men to devour them. That's how I look at it. So we have those real conversations. If you put the money up, even if you blew the 30%, you still got 70% of your money. So it's like, that's a hard place to be. And you got to get everybody on board. You have to get the families on board. You have to get the athlete on board. And hopefully you don't have to get any girlfriends or wives on board, but those are the ones that you really have to help them to monitor, because if not, the money is going to disappear really quickly.
So let me ask you a question about that. Why is that? Because you've worked with these athletes, these NBA players. What is it that we're not seeing? You know what I'm saying? I mean, we see it, but what's really going on? If that makes sense, the question I'm trying to ask. It's like when you're with these guys, I mean, what is the enticement? What is the trap? I mean, because it's mind-boggling how they just, I don't want to say melt, or they just become putty in these, not all of them, but in a lot of these women's hands. What is it that drives them? I mean, what is really going on, I guess, is what I'm trying to find out.
Think about it like this. All your life, you've been the best at what you've done. That's why you found yourself at one of these top leagues, maybe whether it be NFL, NBA, and the amount of money. So now you go into a locker room and everyone has money, but there's different classes and levels of money. You have veterans who make, say if you just for instance, if you're on the Dallas Cowboys and the top player on the Dallas Cowboys might make $25 million a year. But the 53rd man on the team, he only makes $600,000 a year. So now he's looking at this guy that has $25 million a year, and he's seeing all the things that he likes, and he wants a part of that, not realizing that his path is totally different than that guy who makes $25 million a year. So you have to really walk in your purpose, in your plan. So that's the main thing. We have to set up a plan immediately. And a lot of times, if athletes understand the tax implications, that's half the battle, because you immediately are placed in the 47% tax bracket when you get that check for the first time. So you have to realize that half of the money that you see on those checks, it doesn't even belong to you. And that's why the 70-30 rule works so well, because athletes get taxed in every place they go. If they play in New York, they're taxed. If they play in California, they're taxed. If they play in Tennessee, they're taxed. So taxes become a real thing. So like if you put the money up, you'll have the money to pay the taxes. But a lot of athletes get in bad situations because they don't put the money up, and then it builds. Like I said, if you play a 16-game season in the NFL and you play 8 games on the road, that's 8 different states that you have to pay taxes in. And if you play in New York, you're gonna pay a city tax, you're gonna pay a state tax, and a federal tax if you play a game in New York. Because that's how they tax these guys. And that's the stuff that you need to learn it before you go. Because once you're in it and you're spending money and you're thinking you have more money than you have, and then you can get yourself in a bad situation. And COVID is a blessing in disguise, because it made everyone stop and realize I got to do something different. Like if COVID wasn't going on now, I may would be at the radio show with you guys. But because COVID is going on, now I'm on Zoom or online with you guys on Facebook or Instagram. So a pivot had to happen. And so like you can take this as a great marker of if we do things differently, it can change for the better. But if we stay the same, then it's not going to be good. And so that's the thing. Same thing with the athletes that are trying to break in. What do I need to do now differently to get me to the level that I want to go to? Because up until this point, I've always did it this way. We've always trained this way. And now we're at a spot in our career where all those things didn't work. So if you want it, you're going to have to shift. You're going to have to shift and change your mindset. And that's why it's so important for that faith, that integrity, and that trust to be consistent. It has to be consistent in all aspects of your life. I tell athletes all the time, if you're disrespecting your mama, how can you expect the opportunity to come because you're not following the principles that were set before you even became a professional athlete?
Wow.
If you're not in the time properly, how can you expect things to happen the right way for you? If you're not treating your neighbors with respect because now you think you make more money than them, you can look at them a certain way. It doesn't work like that. You have to be consistent. So like this has been hard, but it's been a good lesson. And when you learn a good lesson, that means something good usually comes behind it if you learn a lesson.
How soon do you think we should start teaching the athletes this principle about financing and making the right choices? Do you think we need to go all the way back? Oh, he said ninth grade.
Ninth grade.
Yeah. I start recruiting athletes that I think probably could play in the NBA in the ninth grade. You need to know in the ninth grade because if the NBA changes the rules where they can come out of high school after the 2022 season, that's 3 years, and then you'll be a professional athlete if you're good. So you need to learn early what it takes. And if you don't know these things, now is the time to learn in this downtime. Like this time can be used properly. Like you have got, I'm pretty sure I heard, am I saying that Kawashka? Am I saying your name right? How do I say it correctly?
You said Kawashka.
You said you have a son that's a senior. He should be thinking about financial literacy right now. Because if he wants to play in the NFL, he needs to understand what does my finances look like when I become an NFL player. And then he has to start handling the finances that he has now like that. Like, because if you wait until you get it, it's too late. It's too late. You got to start now.
That's good. Shannon, you're mute. Shannon.
Okay. I was taking notes, y'all. I was taking notes, writing stuff down. I'm like, okay, I'm taking key points. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because it's good. You're right. I feel like you should start in 7th grade. And I know you said 9th. And the reason why I said 7th is because I have a daughter, and for all those that know, she made varsity in 7th grade. And so by the time the high school coach seen her play her junior high game and came up to me and was like, she's automatically on the varsity team. So I had 7th and 8th grade to start to mentally prepare her for 9th grade, because you're not going to play with, girls in your grade. You're going up here with some seniors and juniors. So I needed to mentally prepare her for that. As she became a freshman, I noticed the struggle. I mean, she's good, but I noticed the intimidation. I noticed some things. And so we had heart-to-heart conversations. But I feel like, and the reason why I say 7th, because by 7th and 8th, you kind of see if they're really going to play or if they're not going to play. And then 7th and 8th, believe it or not, high school coaches are actually looking at these kids in 7th and 8th grade. Mm-hmm. And if you go back, colleges are now even watching them between 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, especially if they're playing on some sort of an AAU program. Mm-hmm. And so they're already preparing their, what year they graduate, how many points, they're watching them. So I believe 7th grade is where is where it should start, but there should be a curriculum or something in junior high to help them and prepare them for high school, for college. I think it's got to be something in place for these athletes to teach them financially, to teach them mentally, emotionally, and to teach them how to realize being an athlete is a vehicle that God gave you, but it is not who you are. It is a vehicle for where God is taking you. But the problem is they don't know how to separate it. So when COVID came, a lot of athletes are going, who am I? I don't have a plan B. Well, what do I do? Well, what if we never play sports again? Where am I going to go? So because they never separated the different, their identity was lost. Their identity was entwined into the word athlete. So yeah, I believe 7th grade is where we should start teaching them. And then by the time they get to 9th, it's another level now. 7th is kind of prepping, 8th is prepping, 9th, we're going to hit it hard to prepare you through high school and to prepare you for college. So yeah, Carmen, you have a question before we get ready to?
I do. So Frank, when you tell us a little bit, because we talked about women, but tell us a little bit more about the distractions that come up with these professional athletes and what kind of hinders them from being all that they could be.
Oh man. So once a kid is earmarked as a professional, and like it usually happens like around 11th or 12th grade, everyone becomes their friends. Some of the friends try to introduce them to drugs or alcohol. Some of the friends try to introduce them to girls. Some of the friends always want to try to like put money in their pockets or try to like make a connection with them financially. So like if they make it all the way, they can always draw on the idea that when you didn't have any money, I gave you some money. Some of the people are around because athletes have a lot of access to things without even asking for it. Like for example, like when athletes go to Las Vegas, the clubs in Las Vegas will let all the athletes in free. So you might have friends who just want to party and hang out with the athlete and try to get them to go out because they know they can get into the club that everyone wants to go to for free. And so like when I go to Las Vegas during summer league, I don't go out. And I tell the athletes, I'm not going out because it's risky. And I really don't want them to go out, but you can't stop them from going out. So you tell them, I'm going to pray for you and I'm going to be in the hotel room with my phone on just in case something happens, because if something happens, I should be the first person that you call before anything. That way we can decide how we're going to proceed. But the distractions that I've seen mostly that really take the athletes out, it's the drugs and it's the girls. Because they've made this thing like it's okay to like smoke weed, and it's not okay to smoke weed. Like it's anything that you put in your body that does not belong in your body. If you're an athlete, you're slowing down your game when you do that. And and a lot of athletes, they get introduced when they're in high school. They don't want to look like the odd person out, but the whole time it's setting them up for something to be connected to them that shouldn't be connected to them. And then they have to be careful about the distractions with the young ladies, because if a young lady feels like, and this is the wrong type of young ladies, because not all young ladies do this, but if she's the wrong type of young lady and she can see that this athlete's going to be a professional, she's going to connect herself to him. And he's going to be doing things with her that he probably shouldn't be doing with her. And hopefully he's protecting himself, but the aim of that young lady is to make sure that he doesn't protect himself so that she could possibly have a child. And so like we had a meeting at the NBA, I think I'm gonna say 2 years ago. So the NBA brought in a divorce attorney, and he was talking about paternity suits and how much they cost NBA players. So in the state of Georgia, if an NBA player is brought in for child support, the child support payments start at $3,000 a month, no matter what. So
Oh
Yeah,
Lord.
start. So that's for the lowest paid NBA player in the NBA. So if it starts at 3,000, it can go up to as much as with. So it's usually a factor of 17% of his salary. So you think if it's somebody like LeBron James who makes $35 million a year, 17%,
That's a lot of.
it's a whole lot of money. So you got to understand, like you guys said earlier, these young ladies are professionals and they know everything about the young man. So the young man may be thinking that he's meeting a nice young lady. She's drop dead gorgeous. She says all the right things, but the whole time it's to get access to his finances or his wealth. And like I said, the drug thing is an issue. Like I stress to athletes, I don't want you drinking or smoking because it's going to distract you and for what you're trying to accomplish. Because once you start those vices, they allow you to take your guards down. And once you take your guards down, now you have an issue of protecting yourself. And if you can't protect yourself and your mind's not strong, then things can infiltrate it that don't belong. So I would vet. If I had a son that played ball, we would have to vet the young lady, if it's a young lady, and we would vet his friends to find out what type of friends they have. Like, so, and there's the thing: if you have a son who's also going to be a professional athlete, the FBI starts to track that young man probably like in 11th or 12th grade.
Really?
So, absolutely. So if he's that good, whether it's NBA, NFL, the FBI has done a background check on him. So they know all about your friends. They know all about your habits. They know about the young ladies that are interested in you. They know how your relationship is with your elementary school teacher. Like your image is really, really, really important. And like as parents, I know you ladies protect your sons, but sometimes they're not going to be around you. And so you got to remind them of what's at stake, because the least thing could be the major thing that could stop them from getting an opportunity. So you need to always check your surroundings. You check your friends, check the young ladies, you check the places that they go, and make sure those things line up with the path that he's trying to pursue.
Okay, you just opened up a whole can of worms. I mean, this probably could be a 3-hour show, because when you start talking about marijuana and just where marijuana is going, what if every state legalizes it? And so as far as the Bible, you can kind of get into, whatever is loud on earth, we're okay to obey it. And if marijuana is legal, then it's okay. So there's a lot of conversations on that.
But
it goes back again. What are you putting in your body?
That's right.
Are you trying to be elite, or do you want to fit in? Because elite athletes, they stand out. They're not trying to fit in. I'm not doing just because it's legal don't mean it's right for me. Alcohol is legal, but we know the damage that it does. It's legal in all 50 states. But if you drink too much alcohol, you get behind the steering wheel of a car and you get pulled over.
That's right.
With that legal substance that's in your body, it becomes illegal. Because now you're driving. Right. So it's like, and that's why the conversations have to be had. Just because you can do it, do you really want to do it? And I agree with you. It becomes an issue. So like when we talk about these things, I'm never telling you what you shouldn't do. But what I'm saying to you is, if you want to be the best, anything that doesn't belong in your body, don't put it in your body. If you want to, if you just want to be good, you want to fit in, you do what everybody else do. But we're not talking about just being good. We want to be the best. Like it's too hard to make it to that level to just be average. It's too hard.
No.
She ready.
Come on out of her. Come on. But no. Back to what you said, Ms. Karen. Anything that alters your mind is out of mind. Anything that alters your mind, that change your mindset, and like you said, and I was just thinking as you was talking, I tell the kids, there is danger in distraction. Do you hear me? There is danger in distractions. And then here's another thing, Mr. Frank, because I've been holding it in. We got to go beneath the surface with the girls and the drugs. The enemy come to kill, steal, and destroy, right? But Jesus came to give us life and to come and give us life and give us life more than abundantly. So if our sons, our daughters are on first of all, they're saved. That's the main thing for them to be saved. So once they get saved, they got godly grandparents. They on the mission. They got a purpose. Guess what? They have a God assignment. Guess what? The enemy has an assignment. So we got to teach them. Hey, come on. Oh, I'm about to speak. So we got to teach them. Like you said, the enemy come to kill, steal, and destroy. Now, he can't stop your purpose, but he can try to delay it. Hey, come on out of here. He cannot stop your purpose, but he can delay it. So we on the right track, but we're not getting down to the surface. We're not sending them to college with scripture so they can meditate. Just one scripture a day. One scripture or 3 scriptures, I guess, in a week. It doesn't matter. We're not sending them on a regular day. So when they fall, they can fall back to the scripture. So we got to get back to the surface. And then here's another thing, and I'm gonna stop. Some things that our kids are facing is some things that we have done. That we have done. So we need to destroy. We need to destroy those generational curses. Yes, we cannot, and I just use me for example. I could be dealing with my mama curses. I could be dealing with grandma curses. So it's all on me. So just think about on our sons and our daughters and how we deal with it. A minute. Did you used to smoke weed? Don't sit up there and act like I never did anything. You got to let them know. Because then that's going to open the pathway, to not allow them to lead down the road. Because they may lead, but then they might say, okay. Sometimes we hold back things that if we tell our kids what we have done, hey, come on out of here. It'll free them. It'll free them and let them make the right decisions on the way out. That's all I want to say. To God be the glory. But Mr. Frank! Oh my God!
Yeah. Well, my question is this, and I know we got to close. We're talking about all this, but the real question is, why is it a African American male thing? Because it's not every story you've seen when it deals with our athletes, they are all Black. I'm not trying to pick this race riot thing because I'm not looking at that. What is the root when it comes to that it's majority of, and it's like you're telling them, and you're pointing to your sons and you're saying, and you're trying to show them, like Kwasi said, you're saying, listen, you're a great kid, blah, 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 but now you are considered, what's the word that I told my son? I said, people will look at you as the typical. I don't want you to be the typical African American athlete, get in trouble, do drugs, right? So you're trying to show them. But for some reason, it's like they don't see it and they still get tripped up and they fall right into it. Why is it? What is it that history, what is the mentality? Is it a that keeps them in that bondage, if that makes sense, as athletes?
Generational.
Because I'm gonna tell you this, and I met the young man. He's friends with my son. He came by the house. I don't know if you guys remember, he went to Baylor about 3 years ago, and he was the top prospect in Baylor. And I met him, good, decent young man. And we talked and he told me what happened. And he said the next day the police was at his door. And he said, now girl asked me to come over. He says, I didn't do it. It was consented. But the next day she was at my door. The police was at my door. And he was 2 weeks from the draft. And when I was looking and we were talking, and I'm like, what made you trip up? I know we talk about the P is powerful. I know what she said, but if you've seen it before, if you've seen other athletes get into it, what made you 2 weeks before still trip up and make that decision? Does that make sense? I mean, you've seen it. You've seen other athletes lose the Heisman Trophy because it. You've seen, this and that. You didn't stop and go, let me not put myself in that position. What made you think you was, you wouldn't be caught up?
Untouchable.
Right. Thank you, Karen. What's making them think that they're untouchable is my question, Mr. Frank.
Well, I'm going to say from experience, I truly believe that you have to teach your athletes that they're not property. See, this is big business we're talking about. You're talking about billions of dollars is on the line, and the people that are in control want to control the athletes. And the athletes have to understand that there is a target on my back. I have to understand everywhere I go, someone wants to control me. Like you said, it is generational because it takes it all the way back. The biggest slaves were bred with the biggest slaves. You think about basketball and football; they're the biggest and strongest men on this planet. But the thing is, I tell these athletes all the time: now that you know you have this target on your back, don't get used. You have to make sure that you are the one that is controlling the narrative. And unfortunately, a lot of things that look good are no good for you. They're no, but it comes to you in such a way where it looks like it's good, but it's not. I remember we were in Washington, D.C. At a Washington Wizards function. This was probably like about 10 years ago. So I saw this young lady. She was about my age. I'm like 47. This young lady was my age, so she was 37. And she was like 37 years old. I knew it because I've seen these different type of women all the time going to all these different functions. The kid was only like 21, just got drafted. The things that she was saying to him, a man my age could see it from a mile away. Oh, this is a setup. But a kid his age, he couldn't see it. But the way that the package was presented to him, it looked good. And just because it looked good, the word says there's a way that seems right, but it leads straight to the back. It looks really good. It looks just like what you want because that's how it's going to be presented to you. Like it's gonna look good. It might feel good. It might smell good. It might even make you a lot of money. But at the end of the day, can you live with this decision? When I first became an agent, I had a chance to work with one of the top agents in the whole business of football. And I turned it down because when I saw how he was operating, and when I talked to moms like you guys, nobody had something good to say about this guy. All the commentary on him was negative. Now here's the thing: he made millions of dollars. He represented 25, 30 athletes. Everything looked good, but none of the mothers was happy. Now, why would I want to work with an agent where the people that you interact with the most are going to be disappointed? So we have to teach our sons, like they have to be able to assess situations. And unfortunately, they got to assess them really quickly. When you walk into a room, you have to know the people that you should interact with and not interact with. And you got split seconds to make that decision. If you get that feeling in your gut that this girl is not a girl I need to be around, you need to leave. Because the minute you stay after that, even if you didn't do something, when you're in the room, you become a part of the problem because of the target that's on your back as a professional athlete, even as a high-level college athlete. You said your son's playing in the Pac-12. Oh, everybody in that college town knows your son. When he walks into a bar, a store, a supermarket, if he touches something on the shelf too long, it looks like he's not going to pay for it. Somebody's going to say something, take a picture. So knowing that, now you got to shift the narrative. So you got to always be ready. Just like when you get ready in the game, you have to stay ready because that's the game right there. Like everybody, like I give everybody a close look over when I first meet them because I'm praying, number one, God, please reveal the true spirit of this person. Number two, should I do this deal? And I've had to walk away from some big deals, ladies. I'm telling you right now. And I was like, God, why is that? He was like, because the things that I have for you, I have to know that you trust me to walk away from that and let me give it to you.
No, that's good. I mean, with everything, we have to do a part two because you said there's so much in there, especially with the FBI. That's right there is powerful.
Right.
That right there, but that's why I say we have to go back and teach starting 7th grade. But we also have to deal with the parents because if you have a kid coming from a home where he's a single mom and the mom is depending on him to get them out of the situation, she's not looking at the women because her eyes, and it's because it could be because of what she's going through. It could be a single dad. I don't know. It could be just the home situation. But you have to realize a lot of them that are in that situation, their parents ain't looking at the women that are coming because their eyes are on, I need that house, that car, that lifestyle. So they put the weight of their decision from their past onto their child to get them out of it. And so we have to educate not only the kids in 7th grade, that's why it should be something taught in the schools, but we also have to educate the parents and say, listen, stop, because you pushing your son or your daughter out there like that and not preparing them, you're about to destroy them. It's I call it the backpack. You put this backpack on them, and in the backpack they have 5 bricks. They have the parents, they have school, they have sports, they have themselves, they have relationship. And you put the backpack and you say, now go. And they're going, it's heavy. Well, what do I do? I mean, okay, which brick do I take out? Because, okay, I mean, if I take out these 2 bricks, but I need those 2 bricks, they're confused because you just send them out there and we dress them up. We buy the latest Nikes. We buy everything to make them look like this athlete, but their character, their ability can take them there, but their character can't keep them there.
Amen.
So we do have to go back. This is a conversation. That's why I like this show. Can We Talk Sports? Because we have to deal with what's behind closed doors, because social media is painting the most beautiful picture. The beautiful girls with long hair, small waist, stilettos, Michael Kors bag, green eyes, and these guys are like, wow. And these young kids are going, matter of fact, I kid you not. We went to the swim park and we were ready to go. And there was these 3 little boys. And I know they had to been between the ages of 7 to 9. They were standing on this bridge and there was a girl across the way. And I kept, because we was in the little water river, and I looked up and I kept looking. They were standing there with their mouths wide open. I mean, like dropped. Well, in the corner, when I looked, what they were looking at was this little, I know she had to been maybe about 22, 23. She taking a selfie. But if you see what she had on, and she's in the spotlight and she's trying to take this selfie, but she barely had nothing on. And these 3 little boys are sitting there. Their mouth is like, and they're like, whoa. Do you know when we were young, and you can say, Coach, I mean, Mr. Johnson, when we were young, you didn't have access to cell phones. You didn't have access to things like this. These 7-year-old kids have access to in and everything on social media, right? So look at what they're being tested and drawn into. Look at what these athletes are being tested and drawn into. So yeah, it's we can go on and on for about 2-3 hours on this conversation.
I think you guys are you like, I was so excited when I got this. I can't even remember how I got this invitation, but I was thankful that I got this invitation, because whenever you get a chance to talk to someone in a different region, that expands your reach. And you guys have a really good network because your sons played at different colleges. There's a network right there where you guys can start spreading the word and getting the correct word out. Because the thing is with athletes, the word is always going out. But I'm just not too sure that the correct word is going out. And
that's right.
The correct word for another mama, like, hey, your son is really good, but we see X, Y, and Z Now you need to cultivate you a path that you need to go on, because if you keep going on the path you're going, he might make it, but it won't be good. Like, and those are the things that I tell the mothers a lot. I already understand what it's like to get somewhere. I've been where you want your son to go. So now you need to make sure that he's on the right path, because there's always going to be many people trying to tell you what you should do, but you got to weigh it against who's telling you and why they're telling you.
That's right.
And what do they gain out of the process of telling you, and are they even qualified to even give you the information? I say this all the time. If I needed gas for my car, I wouldn't go to North Carolina to fill the tank up. I'm going to fill it up right in Maryland. So if you need good information, you got somebody right in your home or your hometown, go to that person first. Because it's like, if I don't work with them, at least you got the correct information first. But if you don't get the correct information, now you can open up a whole nother can of worms that you have to deal with, because people are going to come and they're going to say all kinds of things that sound good, look good, might even think it's a great deal. But if it's not the deal you're supposed to do, it's not going to work. And so like that would be my advice. You guys are doing a fantastic job. Create a network, bring these mothers in, bring these dads in, and keep giving them the information, because somebody's going to get it who's supposed to get it.
You know what? If they end up closing out sports through this fall, we've been talking about it, Shannon, and that's, doing a workshop, and everything is virtual now. So, we can have Mr. Johnson, we have Mr. Cornish, we have we can just have a lot of different people. If they're not playing sports, that's how we can get the moms and the players' attention and see if we can come up with a virtual conference or something and have all these different speakers to come in and talk to these moms and these athletes about, what's really going on.
Yeah, it needs to be done. Yeah, it needs to be done. So listen, this was a great show. Thank you, Mr. Johnson, for coming to the show. Again, we got to have a part 2, because you just opened my eyes to the FBI situation.
Right.
That right there is powerful, and to know you're already on their list, like they say, Santa Claus, naughty and nice. They're already making a list of, okay, we're gonna have trouble out of this one. We're not gonna have trouble out of this one. So wow, that's pretty deep right there. But anyway, thank you for joining the show, and we will be back when Thursday. Oh no, listen, for all those who's watching, I forgot, Wednesday we get to be on the 1% show.
Oh, that's right.
We get to be interviewed on the 1% show. So I'm pretty excited about it. It's this Wednesday at 7:00. And then we will be back Thursday at 7:00. So listen, you guys have a great, great evening and a wonderful week. This is your girl Shannon at Can We Talk Sports. I am here with my host,
Kawashika,
and
Karen,
and Carmen. You're mute. Oh, she's still mute. We're going to work on it, y'all. We're going to work on it. All right. We'll see you guys later. Bye.
Great evening.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.